Alright. Going back. Ugh, hate my forehead. Why am I here? So I've been going through sort of a crisis of purpose lately. I mean, I'm always plagued on some level by a low-grade hum of existential dread, rooted in the fear that I need to prove the worth of my being here in order to deserve being here. But thanks to, gestures broadly, turning me into the cave-dwelling hermit I always knew I could be, this crisis of purpose has only gotten worse. If someone were to ask me right now what I am, not who I am, never who, probably the first thing I'd say, after swallowing the knee-jerk responses of Alien and Dumpster Fire, would be that I'm a writer. I've loved writing since I was like 8. Verbal proficiency and narrative literacy sunk their claws deep into my squishy little baby brain, and my identity has grown up around them like ivy up a wall. And even though creative careers are famously unpredictable, somehow I was insistent enough, or annoying enough, that everyone in my life just sort of believed me when I said I would make it. And I believed me too, idiot. I performed self-assurance so well that even I was fooled by it, all the way through 2 college degrees. Look, see, I'm a master now. I mean, sure, I have no stable income to speak of, and the United States government owns about 80% of my immortal soul, but, this paper is thick. With 2 C's. I've dabbled in existential agony throughout this time, of course, but, due to circumstances of which we do not speak, I have, over the course of this year plus, had unprecedented amounts of time in which to simmer, and then, like the frog and the lobster before me, to slowly and insidiously warm until by the time I noticed that the water was boiling, it was already too late. What my squishy little baby brain failed to realize is that not only are there many different ways to write, prose and verse, fiction and not the bread, essays and novels and movies and TV, and don't even get me started on genre. There are also a lot of different reasons to write. And the more I tried to write without knowing my reasons for doing it, the less able I felt to write at all. Sometimes it just seems like writing is one more way to stroke your ego. Like if you've ever been in a creative writing class and you've had to peer review your classmates' work, you know that listening to someone read what they wrote can be kind of like walking into a room and just seeing a guy, wetting his whistle. And instead of immediately slamming the door and barricading it behind you, you have to stand there and watch the whole thing. Why? And then at the end you have to offer insightful commentary like, "So, what'd you think?" Well, it didn't last too long. Very, concise? Like that. And I won't claim to be the saint of humility. If I didn't have at least a little of Jack's overinflated sense of self-importance, then I wouldn't be sitting here talking to a camera like anyone in the world gives 2 shits about what I have to say. But that, particular kind of writing never really felt worthwhile to me. Like, it never felt like enough. Which, of course, begs the question, what is enough? Not me. Just kidding, we're not talking about that particular part of my existential angst today. So I asked myself for the 10,000th time, what do I love? What stories do I either create or consume that do feel worthwhile? And why do they feel that way? Things I love in no particular order. Dragons, adventures, pew-pew lasers, sword fights, laser sword fights, spaceships. This is a spaceship. Sorcery, superheroes, aliens, gaylians, gay superheroes, gay sorcery, gay sword fights. You know what, just make everything gay. References to other stories, references back to this story, expectations thwarted, expectations fulfilled, self-awareness, intertextuality, conversation. There it is. So often, writing gets judged on the basis of originality, whatever the flip-flop that is. We are all just products of what came before us, are we not? Matter cannot be created or destroyed. Everything our squishy little baby brains know, they sponge up from the world around them. And if all that matters is having some shiny new genius thought, why bother writing it down? Why the totally masturbatory impulse to broadcast the idea, to make it known? Writing, whether it's novels, movie scripts, fan fiction, or, hey, YouTube videos, is a means of communication. It requires both a producer and a receiver. Good old Harvey, back there in the awkward peer review, maybe only writes to be seen, to have his existence validated by some external force. Wait, I do that too. Oh fuck. But rather than being just a standalone performance, writing and stories and creations in general, at least in my view, are most interesting when they are a conversation. When a good laser sword fight or kung fu battle invites you into its world to revel in a well-known, well-loved beauty. When a romance's inbuilt contract promises troubled readers the solace of a happy ending. When characters caught in absurd situations step back and acknowledge the absurdity of the situation. When the villain is the last person you expected, or the person you expected all along. When the hero breaks the straight, white, male mold. When you can see yourself reflected back at you. When you can't see yourself, so you yank the mirror off the wall and scribble yourself in. When it feels like exploring a strange new world. When it feels like coming home. For me, the most exciting thing, the most satisfying thing, the most worthwhile, is when stories talk to each other, like trees with their roots tangled tight together just under your feet. The worlds, the people, the ideas, the questions these conversations produce are probably the closest we get to true creation. And call it a god complex, but I want to live in that space, conversation space, the creation space. So I decided to start this vlog partly out of a sort of starvation for human contact, thanks to circumstances, but my motivation goes a lot deeper than that, I think. A lot further back. I'm also hoping to create a space for these very good conversations to exist. You know, a space that doesn't really feel like it exists in the real world, even in the before time, and only rarely exists on the internet. I'm not sure if the internet is really built for this. I'm not even sure if this is something anyone else wants. So I'm just gonna be here, talking about stuff I like, and seeing if anything grows out of it. So maybe let's make something together.